Hey, 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 everyone. We have finally made it to the world's first global conflict in our year-long study of U.S. history. At this point in time, the early 1900s, the United States, along with most other first world countries, has gone through a recent period of industrialization. While there were many struggles, politicians and social activists worked tirelessly during this time to make positive change. We also saw the United States turn its attention outward for the first time and begin to exert its newfound power across the globe in order to increase its power, wealth, and territory. It is at this point that we find ourselves on the precipice of global war. We will spend the next several weeks looking at all of the complexities of World War I, but for today, we are just going to explore the causes, both short and long term. And that brings us to our essential question. What were the immediate and long-term causes of World War I? Let's start with the long-term causes. Those intangible things that put the world on the edge of the largest war in history. These four long-term causes can be remembered with the acronym MAIN, which stands for militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. We have already talked in some detail about all of these concepts, but it's important to note that the United States was not unique in its ambition and beliefs. Much of what happens on a global stage during the first half of the 20th century is a direct result of the competition between powerful countries. Militarism is the belief that a nation needs a large military force, and countries like Spain, Russia, France, Great Britain, and the United States had long fought to ensure that they were the most powerful. However, it wasn't all about who had the biggest military or the most powerful weapons. Power was also created through alliances, or agreements between two or more countries, in which all involved parties agreed to protect each other in war. Declaring war against one country meant going to war against any country they were allied with. Often this acted as a deterrent to war, but not always. Third is imperialism, the policy by which stronger nations extend their economic, political, or military control over a weaker nation. While we do not see many examples of this today, for a long time boundaries were regularly changing due to changes in power or countries being acquired by other more powerful countries. While a country was in one part of the world, they may have interests on the other side of the globe that they want to protect. Lastly, nationalism, the feeling of intense pride and loyalty towards one's country, played an important role in the onset of war. People were intensely loyal to their home countries, and they were happy to go to war to defend them. But all four of those causes were underlying factors. By themselves, so many countries would not have ended up at war. What happened that we can say that was the moment? That is what sent the world spiraling toward war. For that, we have to talk about two much smaller, less powerful countries: Austria-Hungary and Serbia. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary and his wife were assassinated by a man named Gavrilo Princip. He was a member of Young Bosnia, which was predominantly Serbian. And so Serbia was blamed, and Austria-Hungary declared war. In all honesty, without all of those other factors, it likely wouldn't have led to global conflict. But alas, it did. You see, both Austria-Hungary and Serbia had alliances. Based on a previous treaty, after Bulgaria and Serbia went to war, Austria-Hungary was allied with Germany and Italy, while Serbia was allied with Russia. Meanwhile, the Ottoman Empire was allied with Germany, and France and Britain were allied with Russia. So when Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, all of these countries were immediately thrust into war based on their alliances. They were duty-bound to protect their allies. Let's take a moment to recap the countries involved and who they were aligned with, because before it was all said and done, more countries than were on that chart would become entrenched in the fighting. The Allied powers included Serbia, Russia, Belgium, France, Great Britain, and the United States. On the other side were the Central Powers, Austria-Hungary, Germany, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire. From the previous graphic, you could see that Italy had an alliance with both Germany and Austria-Hungary. At the onset of the war, Italy declared neutrality, but ultimately joined the war with the Allied powers against their own allies for its own gain when they were promised land and money by Great Britain. The countries listed on both of these charts are listed in the order that they joined the war. So at this point, you should be able to answer this question. What were the immediate and long-term causes of World War I? Consider these other questions to help. What were the 4 main causes, and what was the one immediate cause? Who were the Allied powers, and who were the Central powers? Next time, we will talk about how the United States became involved in a war that it had seemingly nothing to do with, and no alliances forcing its hand.